All right, we're here. We're back.
Hello.
Again.
Carolyn, thank you for joining us.
Yes.
Oh, thank you for
always
having
fun.
me.
Always
Mhm.
fun to have Kate.
My inconsistency is consistent.
Well, anytime we get to have you on and Brad gets to throw a new logo up, I'm always happy about it. It's exciting.
Always good. So how
It's a
are you
lot of
guys
fun.
doing? It's been a week.
It's
It
been,
has.
yeah. My little guy turned 5, so
Hey,
fun.
happy
That happened.
birthday to little person.
he didn't
Yeah.
die.
He
I
didn't.
kill him.
He's one hand.
Great.
That's how
He's
I
a whole
describe it.
hand.
Full
He's a whole
hand.
hand.
And today he was like, "Am I 6 yet?" And it's like, "Excuse me, excuse me, sir."
I
Get
felt
ahead.
like when Dennis turned 5, that's when everything sped up. I was like, once he gets to 5, then it'll make sense. And then it
Yeah.
felt like he's 8. He just turned 8 on August 1st.
And he did it again like a moron.
I just should have listened to everybody.
Brad and I know what's up.
Terrible
Nope,
decision.
not at all.
I will say I really love having the age difference between the two of them because it makes me appreciate both of their states so much. I love when Oscar's like crawling, trying to walk, and Oscar, I can pick him up, throw him around. It's just like all like easy. And he's just like, we play a game where I lay on the floor and fall asleep, and then he hands me toys over the little gate, and then I toss the toys back over, and he gets it. It's a great game. And then I can play Breath of the Wild with the older one. It's great. Like I really enjoy the fact that they have very different needs right now versus if they were similar ages and needed very, very different things, but needed the same level of attention.
Yeah.
That's tricky.
Yeah, that would be a lot.
Yeah, it will be interesting when the little one is Dennis's age and Dennis is a full-blown teenager. That will be really interesting.
Yeah.
So,
Their dynamics with one another will be very interesting, I'm sure.
yeah. Or then when Oscar is a teenager and Dennis is like beyond college, like, that'll be weird. So, yeah,
Good times. At least
Good
for now,
times.
Oscar has super pinchable cheeks.
oh my gosh, he's so pinchy, they're so
adorable.
cute. And his eyes, they're so big. They're so big.
I got to pinch that baby's cheeks a couple weeks
Aw.
It was very cute.
Super
I got to see my friend's baby. She's 18 months and I hadn't seen her. I've only, my friend has a 6-year-old he's just about to be 6. He's 11 months older than Bryce. And then she had a second and I never met her because she had her like right when everything was happening. Like, and she had her like March or April 2020. It was the worst. So I finally got to see her and she's, oh my God, adorable, calm. The second kid seemed very chill. Is that normal or I don't know?
I think that is pretty normal. I think the first kid tend to just naturally be high strung. As I am a oldest child.
They
My brother
feed off you, I guess.
Yeah. My brother is only 15 months younger than me, and he is infinitely more chill than I am, but he is a much more high-strung adult than I am. He's a very high-strung person. If you were to meet us and you're like, oh, Kellen's the more emotional, more like high-strung one, and then you talk to my brother and you're like, oh, Kellen is chill as fuck. His brother is in
Interesting.
fact, super. I love.
Maybe you're on the same bell curve, but like he's just behind you.
It might be that.
He's
way.
delayed.
Maybe. But my brother, again, he's 37, but my brother is infinitely 20 years old. Everyone is always like, how old is your brother? I'm like, he's 15 months younger than me. And they're like, and you are how old then? Because Christian feels and acts and looks like he's in his early 20s. So
That is not a compliment.
it's not. It's not. It's not.
At some point, people would be like when you're younger, you're like, oh, you're really 20s, whatever. And now it's like, that's a literal child. No. Get it away.
No.
Go get a passy. Fuck out of here.
Get out of here. I would hate to look like I was in my 20s and be this old. It'd be terrible.
Come back when you file your own taxes.
Yeah.
No.
Do you even know how to like rent a car?
You can't rent a car.
You can't rent a car
if you're in your early 20s. It's not America. I don't know what the rules are. This is an interesting question. Is this different in Canada?
No, it's 25, I think.
Okay,
Yeah,
so it's the same. There we go.
There you go.
Really, it's still kind of early. Geez, 25-year-olds.
Oh,
For
yeah.
renting a
Darn
car,
kids.
I think it's
Darn
fine.
kids.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but like you've been a like a quote unquote contributing member of society or whatever for like long enough that I kind of get it. You know, I think it's fine. It's fine at that point.
I remember I had a basketball coach say to me once that every boy is useless until they turn 27. Once they turn 27, all of the like dumb, let's just destroy stuff is finally worked out. And at 27, that's when they're like, okay, cool. You can re-enter into society and actually be good. And he also said any boy who is under 27 who looks good is a psychopath. Is a total psychopath.
Okay.
Anybody who's under 27 and looks like they got their shit together as like is a good person, he's like, nope, those are psychopaths.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, my husband was 25 when we got married, I think. He just turned 25. So I guess I was married to a child for a while.
Yeah, there you go.
Crazy.
Very crazy. Karen, you said you had a question for us, and then Brad said, all right, let's do a logo. And I was like, oh, what is this question? What's this question?
Oh, it may not go anywhere. We might all feel the same, but I've been watching. I found a new YouTuber that I've been binging who I absolutely love. You've probably heard of her, Jenny Nicholson.
Jenny Nicholson.
You might have. If you're into commentary YouTube, she's pretty big. She's like 800,000 subscribers, just under maybe. She's great. Highly recommend. She's just sits there and is like, let's talk about this thing that
Jenny's great. Jenny's great stuff.
Hilarious.
I have no idea who this person is.
Well,
but that's okay.
Then I've given you a fantastic gift if you're somebody who binges, because I do that, and I'm just going through her entire library right now.
Yeah, all her Star Wars stuff is really good.
So that brought up the question for me, because I started she really likes Star Wars, and she's been kind of breaking down Star Wars. I haven't really had this conversation with you guys, but I'm very curious. Are you a, Jesus Christ, I can't even remember. Are you a episode 9 fan or an episode 8 fan? Because you kind of can't be both. They're diametrically opposed. So
is there anybody who's an episode 9 fan? I don't know.
There are lots of people who seem to be episode 9 fans, and I do not understand it. Episode 9 was a trash fire as far as I'm concerned. Like the forces in the balls and everything, and it's just terrible. And I really, really hated everything that they did.
I'm gonna need you to elaborate.
Yeah,
I feel like that was pretty clear. The whole point of episode 8 was like, you're nobody. Lineage doesn't matter. You know, it's not about that. This isn't like your parents aren't anybody. Like they led up to that. They set up this whole thing of, and then it was like, just kidding. It is genetically, it does matter, and it isn't random, and it isn't just based on like the soul of the person or whatever. It is genetic, and that is the thing. And you can't be a Force person unless you are related to another interesting or important Force person. And therefore, the Force is in the balls. So
the divine right of kings. That's what episode 9 perpetuates. Yeah, no. Episode
she made a really good point about that too, where she was like, the title crawl. She's like, they started out in a really campy way that was great, but then they kind of take too many liberties as far as what happened off screen. She's like, Palpatine's alive. I was like, sorry. Why not? What?
It's definitely
why?
strange.
How? For what?
And what the problem is now they're like retconning all this stuff with like Mandalorian and all these other shows to see, this is what episode 9 was talking about. And it's like, no, that's not how movies work. You can't, that's not how the movie works.
Yeah.
They can, they did.
They can and they will.
Can.
George Lucas set a really high, I guess a really low bar as far as what was allowable from a retcon standpoint, because I don't know if you remember that, but there was a rock in front of R2-D2 when he was hiding in that cave in episode 4. He was in a cave, and George Lucas went back and edited a rock in front of the cave to make it so he was like hiding more. Like that's the level of retconning of like edits that he made to the original trilogy.
Oh, yeah, there's like 40 different versions of those.
It's so bad, and all the CGI additions are terrible. I mean,
terrible.
Yeah, as a whole, I find the whole thing, like the whole thing is just a campy romp. Like I don't. The whole right, like, do we understand culturally that it's just like a campy romp, and that just some people really like it because everything has people but it's not like, I don't know. I thought episode 8 had such promise, and I was so excited about it.
This episode 8 is I would say, if I'm ranking my Star Wars, I still think that Empire is my favorite, but then episode 8 and then Rogue One. That's how it goes for me.
I think I mentioned this to you in another thing where I associate Christmas with The Last Jedi. Maybe I had that conversation with someone else. The Last Jedi.
The Last Jedi. Tell me about that.
Not The Last Jedi. I'm sorry. Return of the Jedi.
Return of the Jedi. Okay.
Because I had, it's one of those coincidental things where when I was younger, my parents must have at some point videotaped, like VHS, videotaped the like TV at one point when there was some Christmas thing going on, and it was like a Christmas cartoon or something. I don't remember. And the VHS, most VHSs had like 3 hours worth of tape available. The cartoon was like half an hour, and then right after that, the network played Return of the Jedi. And so I, for some reason, started watching it one year while I was like wrapping presents and getting ready. And so it's just very much an environmental, like I was just happy in that moment and it was playing, and then Return of the Jedi played. And so I would watch that every year. So I also know that so I associate it with the Christmas season. And then like all other Star Wars come out during Christmas time, but like Return of the Jedi very specifically, I associate with Christmas because of that. And it makes me think of those moments. And you know what I mean? It's just one of those very weird things that has nothing to do with the content necessarily.
There's family reunion stuff in there.
Kind of like it's the happy
People
ending
get slowly
one.
digested by a sand monster.
That's fun.
There's the big bonfire at the end, which is like a Yule log.
Sure.
Yep. And it was always something that I enjoyed for that reason.
Hot takes.
Yeah, we're not going to engage with Tyson.
I'm sorry, Tyson. It's going to be a no. It's a no from me.
You're allowed to your opinion.
It's a no from me, dog.
We will have another Star Wars.
I was waiting for one of you to respond like Tyson did.
No.
To be like, no, 9 was my shit, or like, 8 was shit,
I know a lot of people who hate
8.
8. I know people who really hate 8, and
my husband doesn't like it. I get. Yeah, there are issues I have. Like, I think I like what they were trying to do with like the ABC plots, but sure. I definitely think the pacing got a little draggy when you're like in the middle of this like main plot that's going on and you're very invested with all the primary characters. And then it's like activism on the casino planet. And it's like, what is happening?
And here's the thing.
I like where your head's at, but what's happening?
I think episode 8 suffers from the major problem with episode 8 is editing, that there was too much good content in episode 8, and the stuff that got cut is all of that C plot, right? All of the C plot gets cut, and it makes it seem really, really weird. And it's like, they can't just cut the whole thing. And I would have rather seen a 3-hour version of episode 8 where it makes sense what they're trying to do, because they're not going to lose any of the Rey stuff. They're kind of, the Poe story is okay. It's fine. But all of let's go to not Camino. Let's go. That's the cloning planet.
I don't remember any of the planet names. I'll be honest. Yeah. Like I watched the reviews of these and I'm like, who are these characters? I don't remember a lot of I don't know.
Yeah.
Whoa.
No. Yeah.
It's the added that comes from my brain memories. Yeah. Unless I like really care.
Why does your husband not like episode 8?
The C plots and stuff. He didn't care.
Yeah.
He just didn't care.
Didn't care.
I don't get the hate that what's her name got though. Like to the point where she was like fired or quit the show. Like that was confusing. I didn't. Because they just didn't like her face.
Woman.
Like they didn't like her face. Like like she was like not the beauty standard in terms of like her body or something. Like and she was a chick. Like
space racism.
Space racism.
Looks shockingly like just racism.
Yeah, it really. I mean, we're technically in space. All racism is space racism.
Fair.
Great point, Brad. Fantastic point, Brad.
You are technically correct.
Yes.
The best kind of correct.
Y'all, I asked my 8-year-old son to give me some questions to ask you tonight, and
excellent. Okay,
he gave me some gems.
Okay.
So I'll ask a couple. These are we can see where we go from here. So number 1, what is molecules made out of?
What are molecules made out of?
Is a
Not,
molecule
not,
bigger
not
or
what,
smaller
not
than
what
an
are,
atom?
Brad. What
What
is
Okay.
molecules made out of?
I mean,
I don't
quarks and
remember if
things.
molecules are like like in terms of scientific terminology, are they like bigger than an atom or like?
Yes.
I don't remember. I guess
They're
I'm
made of
maybe-
atoms, which are made of quarks and other
Mhm.
things, depending on how deep you want to go.
According to that one girl on TikTok, the quark is the smallest thing. Is that true, or is that then people were saying like no? that
Well,
we're
we can't
smaller?
really. A quark is theoretical. Like we.
Oh, is it?
Right.
See, I'm way out of my depth here. I don't know
A
what we
thought
actually.
experiment based on the energy that comes out when you smash things together at very small scales. That's hard to say if there's smaller things, as far as I'm aware.
Yeah,
Fair.
like there's a level of our perception currently that doesn't make us that there's so much like theoretical stuff. Brad, I was thinking about you this week where there was an article that I was reading. It was like theoretically time travel has been proven. All we need to do is discover this mysterious what was it what's the chemical? It was like mysterious element that would allow us to shift time in a certain sort of way. And I was like, oh yeah, like of course anything is possible if we have the thing that is not real. Like sure, it's the same thing with quarks. Like theoretically, we have to assume that there is something here to make the math problem that we've been trying to solve work.
Okay, fair. That's fair. Because like as I thought about that too, I was like, when we tried to split an atom, that's how we got like nukes, right? So maybe we shouldn't fuck with that super hard. I don't know.
I mean, maybe that's how we're gonna get time travel finally. You never know until you try.
If we were going to get time travel, we would have gotten time travel. There would be time travel. So no, there will not be time travel because
it doesn't seem very likely at this point.
No.
Sad to say, it doesn't seem super likely.
Not sad. That's nightmare. Doctor Strange is not happy right now. Like it's not good. It's not good. Not a good situation. Do you guys watch What If, by the way?
I don't. I haven't watched it yet. Is it good?
It's great.
It's been
Really?
It's been pretty
great.
good.
The Watcher is such a dick.
Yes.
All of the endings have really annoyed me though, because they tease much more interesting stories than the episode.
Not all of them. Some of them are just tragic and terrible.
Well, sure.
I think the first one with Captain America is the most interesting one in terms of like the universe it spawned for me.
Okay.
And what I love the most about it, the premise, I'm not really spoiling, it's the premise. The premise is if Peggy Carter became Captain America instead of, and actually she doesn't become Captain America. She becomes, I forget what they call her, obviously. But like my favorite thing, this is mild spoilers, but like my favorite thing about that is little things like they really thought about it. Like, because she wasn't like the perfect like man that they wanted, they didn't put her on the stupid like monkey show across the world where she had to like, dance across America to sell bonds. So she was able to just go straight into the war. Like she was immediately like already useful because she didn't have to convince people she could do more than that. She just went back to her day job and they were like, and she was like, I could do more than this too. But like her day job was in World War II. Like she didn't have to do anything else. It was really, really cool.
I like that.
I love that. Like that's the level of detail they think about. There are some that are a little dumb. Like, what if, oh my God, what's his name? What if like Black Panther was Star-Lord? Like dumb. I don't know. To me, that was a dumb premise.
It was a weird one.
I get the impression they wanted
moments, but it was a weird one.
It had really great moments. Thanos is in it in like the best way.
Cheery Thanos is very interesting.
But I get the impression those were the USO tours. Thank you, Tyson. I get the impression that those episodes, like the last several episodes, she didn't have to speak. Sorry, she was British, so selling American war bonds. They would not have made her speak. They would have. I don't know. T'Challa. Thank you. If T'Challa went I get the impression they just wanted to use Chadwick Boseman as much as possible because he actually does the voicing. It's like the last thing he did, I guess. Mm-hmm. So they've included him in as many of them as possible. And like hilariously, there are just like some people that are consistently, I'm noticing, like always the bad guys. Like there are people who, in retrospect, maybe we should pay more attention to them because they have a high propensity for fucking up in a bad way. It's a really great show, though. Like I will say, it's really interesting.
I will have to watch this. I usually wait for the shows to be done so I can binge it. I did that with Loki. I watched Loki all in one night, and Loki was fantastic as a movie.
That would be a good way.
They're all one and done,
sure.
so it kind of doesn't matter. You know what I mean? I do that too, but since they're one and dones, you know what I mean?
Totally
like it doesn't.
Yeah, doesn't really matter. Yeah.
There's a zombie one that's dumb though. I don't really care about the zombie one.
Yeah, the whole Marvel, like there's so much Marvel. When Marvel Zombies came out, there were some really interesting things, but like this idea of let's take the Marvel universe and do Marvel Zombies. I'm like, well, you don't have mutants. You don't have the Fantastic Four. You need those other characters to make the Marvel Zombies interesting because zombie Wolverine and zombie, like the zombie mutants are much more interesting than just the zombie Avengers. So,
the whole zombie thing to me, like, I don't care.
It's a weird one, but it is like directly out of a bunch of the comics, so they kind of it's throwing people a bone that we're.
But man, the Watcher is such a dick. Like they do a really good job of like making it clear that he is there all the time. Like visually, he is in like every scene somehow. But then there are some times where there are people who are conscious of him and they're like desperately pleading for his help, and he's like, "Seems like that's a you problem."
Yeah.
Like,
do you not know what my name is? I'm just the Watcher. That's what I
don't call me the doer.
Like, damn. But then again, like some of the people who ask for them, like I definitely remember those same people doing the same thing in other scenarios, like in Civil War, being like, I cannot involve myself. And it's like, you could fix this. And that's the reason you're not involving yourself.
So easy.
Fuck you. You deserve this. Yeah. So, but yeah, it's definitely worth watching. I think it's very cool. And cool to watch with kids. It's one of the few things that Bryce would actually watch.
Okay, cool. Then I'll watch it. Well,
animated.
If it's like, does it not really work if you don't know who the characters are to like initially like?
Because a lot of it is like origin-ish, and it's just superheroes. Like Bryce vaguely understands. Like he knows who He keeps forgetting who Black Widow is, and like I feel bad, but also like we didn't watch Black Widow but he knows who Thor and Hulk and like he knows who they are in a basic way, but like he doesn't know like Ant-Man or like some of the periphery. I mean, they're major, but you know what I mean? Like some of the not the core four, like he kind of only knows those and Spider-Man. And even so though, he still enjoyed it. Yeah. Partially because he also loves horror things. So zombies coming on screen. He was like, oh, this is cool.
Have either of your children seen Into the Spider-Verse?
Yes.
Yes. Multiple times. We had to stop actually because we were watching it while he was younger and he started hitting because there's a lot of hitting in the movie. So we had to be like, okay.
No hitting.
But now, I love that. I cannot wait for the sequel. I don't know when it's supposed to come out, but I can't wait.
I just put that. I don't rarely have the TV on if I'm just doing something, but that is a movie I'll just have on in the background because it is so visually interesting. The soundtrack's fantastic, and I know that like I'm like, great, I'm going to fold some laundry, I'm going to hang out, do some other things. I can put that movie on. It's just like, oh, everything's so good.
What's that one called? The song from the climax. The
Final Countdown. Is it the Final Countdown?
No. No. Oh my God.
Oh, here we go. I got an idea. After Carolyn figures out what the song is, I got a question for you both about an actor in that movie. Sheesh.
I know I really love Sunflower, but What's Up Danger is like, I want to go fight someone when I hear that song. It's so like it's such a great song. And in the end, they another YouTuber I really, really like called Sideways is he's audio is his thing. So he'll break down soundtracks, he'll break down themes, he'll break down musicals, and like talk about why the Cats adaptation was so bad. He has like a 2-hour video about why Cats didn't work.
Okay.
And it's actually amazing. It's like, I've watched it multiple times. And I've never seen the movie or the stage play of Cats, but it's so good. And the things he describes makes perfect sense. And like the logic of it is great. But he talked about the way that he does a whole thing about Spider-Verse and like the way they incorporate music, both from like the way some of it is diegetic and some of it isn't, but also like the incorporation of music into like the part where at the very end he jumps off the building in his new suit and he's falling. It's What's Up Danger, but then it also goes into the Spider-Man theme. And it just the combination, it's just like, it's one of those things that makes you swell, you know, in your seat kind of things. And he breaks down the whole thing and it's fantastic. I highly recommend Sideways. It's an excellent YouTube channel.
I will check that out. My son, when we were watching the movie the first time, when everyone's getting in Miles's face and being like, "Oh, you're not good, you're not good," he's like, "Can we stop the movie real quick?" I'm like, "Yeah," and we stop it, and he just bursts into tears, just crying so hard. And I was like, "What, buddy? What?" And he's like, "They're being so mean to him. They're being so mean to him. He just wants to be Spider-Man, and they get to be Spider-Man. Why can't he be Spider-Man?" And I said, "Do you want to stop watching?" He's like, "I don't think it's going to be fair. I think he's going to quit." And I was like, "Do you think he's going to quit?" He's like, "I think I would quit." I was like, "Well, let's maybe watch a little bit longer. Let's see if Miles quits. Maybe he will. Maybe that's what this movie is about. Or maybe he decides not to quit and he figures out a way to become Spider-Man." And I saw his eyes light up like, he could still become Spider-Man. And it's so good.
He's right, though.
Yeah.
Like, they handled that super badly. And it's one of those things where I look at it and I'm like, they're worried that he's going to die. And they also don't want to risk it. And they're thinking about it logically. And they're saying,
well, they've
been through the same.
They've all been through it.
They've been through this arc and they're like, you need to, but they're not doing it from we know you need to hear this because no, they're being emotional and they're in a bad way. They're letting their emotions take over in a way that is genuinely disheartening and unhelpful in that moment. But at the same time, it's not that they're wrong. They're just handling it badly from an emotional standpoint because from their perspective, it's too important to care about a kid who just wants to prove himself. They're like, you cannot, like they could just neutrally be like, here's the problem. You just aren't doing it and you will die. Like they could just say that, but they don't.
But that is the curse of Peter Parker, right? Like,
are you going to get up? You know,
the thing about Spider-Man is Spider-Man is the Scott Pilgrim of Marvel Universe. He's a selfish.
Scott Pilgrim is a piece of shit.
And Spider-Man is a piece of shit too. I think Spider-Man.
Miles Morales isn't a piece of shit, though.
I didn't. Yes, I'm talking about Peter Parker because all of them are Peter Parker, right? That's what's so interesting about Miles is Miles breaks the Spider-Man curse. Peter is a selfish bully who thinks he can get away with whatever he wants. He is the epitome of privilege. Why is he a bully? Think about this. Okay. We all look at Spider-Man.
Question, I'm unclear.
No, I love this. I love explaining and getting in fights about why I think Spider-Man is actually a bully. We all think Spider-Man.
We found the niche.
It's so good.
Perfect.
Spider-Man thinks like, "Oh, I'm going to be so quippy. I'm going to be so cool." But what Spider-Man does is Spider-Man gets into fights with people, beats them up, and then makes fun of them while he's beating them up. Right? Like he is. But Spider-Man is constantly going after.
They deserve it because they're bad guys. But also, he's a teenager. Exactly.
He's a dumb, under 27-year-old teenager who thinks he's invincible, who can say and get away with anything. I mean, look at Spider-Man. Look at all the women in Spider-Man's life. Spider-Man has all of these women who are all pining for him, and he's trying to play them all and trying to do the most he can. He's going after Gwen. He's going after MJ. He's going after Black Cat. He's going after all these people. He's got zero consequences. He's looking up to Tony. He's trying to figure out how to be like Tony, and that's such a bad role model as well. When Spider-Man is done right, he is an asshole kid. And I think that's the point. I think when we read Spider-Man, we should read Spider-Man as, right, when I was a teenager, I was an asshole, and I thought that it was totally fine for me to be an asshole. And we should look at Spider-Man and read and be like, fuck, man, I remember when I thought that was okay to do, as opposed to trying to make Spider-Man a hero, because he's not a hero. He is the true teenage vigilante where we should look at this idea of like, oh, right, Spider-Man gets so many people hurt and killed and doesn't learn the lesson, right? It's so interesting about Into the Spider-Verse is they're all projecting their fears onto Miles. They're all telling him, no, you can't do this. No, you can't do this, because they haven't resolved their own issues about, everybody I've gotten close to has got hurt or killed, and yet I don't change because I'm living vicariously through this persona of like, oh, it's cool to be a spider, right? It's
who in Peter Porker's life died? I'm very curious.
It was probably like Gam Spacey or something like that. It's some Looney Tunes. So I don't know.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Is he supposed to be literally the Looney Tunes?
Yes.
Blanking on his name. Pig?
I don't think it's supposed to be Porky Pig, but I think it's supposed to. He is supposed to be
He's based on that.
Yes.
Yeah, because I was like, they overlap now, I guess. Now it can be Porky Pig.
Yes.
But originally it couldn't be. That makes me want to talk about John Mulaney, actually.
I was going to say, can we talk about John Mulaney? Can we get into John?
I'm so mixed. I'm so mixed. Because, like, the only thing that really, I am desperately sad for his ex-wife, soon-to-be ex-wife. They can't possibly be divorced yet. It's been like 2 seconds. But mostly my anger is just that I fucking hate Olivia Munn. I fucking hate Olivia Munn. Of all women, it could have been so many people. Like, there are all these things, there are all these elements. Like, on the one hand, it's like his stand-up routines don't represent his real life necessarily. Like, it doesn't, you can't, the same way you can't call Bo Burnham inauthentic because inside didn't represent like a literal experience, his experiences. It's not like, because he's been in a committed relationship with someone for years, and he owned that place, but it was like a room or a separate place on top of like his actual house where he lived with his partner.
It's a piece of art.
But it's art. It's what he does. You know what I mean? Like he can embody other things. It doesn't have to be his personal experience. And I think by limiting people to that, I think you're being very like unfair and no. But I don't think that's a fair standard to hold him to. So you can't be like, oh, he made jokes about his wife. Like, of course he did. You know what I mean? Like, I make jokes about my husband on TikTok all the time. It's not the same thing. Like, it's a snippet of something. Or like him talking about not wanting kids on his stand-up routine doesn't mean he didn't want kids. Actually, it might. And also that's a fluid thing that doesn't matter. Artists don't owe you their personal lives or time or whatever. And on the other hand, I see someone who I think is making a series of very bad decisions that are having very real consequences on people. And that is very disappointing and upsetting, especially when it's someone that I will say also has been like almost randomly held up on a pedestal by people just because he's like funny and like a thin white guy, I guess.
Thin white guy in a suit.
But you know what? I realized he is Andrew from Big Mouth. Rip. Yeah. I didn't want that. No, like I know he voices Andrew from Big Mouth.
But he is.
Like his ex-wife is like Lola, and we stand Lola all day forever. And it feels like it's like you are trying to be a good person and doing a very wrong, bad thing series of things. And Andrew does that in the show, and it's like I don't like Andrew but I know he's a kid making bad decisions because he's reacting in the moment and he's got a lot going on. And it's like John Mulaney's a whole ass adult, but he's a whole ass adult going through a crisis. So, and I'm very flip-floppy on it, which is unlike me. I'm not normally like that. I'm struggling though. What's the consensus? Is there
Brad, what's your take on this?
I'm sure it will shock both of you that I could not care less.
I thought you were going to say, I don't know what we're talking about. So
I know who John Mulaney is, and I know roughly what's going on, but I haven't.
That you know what's going on.
But yeah,
good job.
I mean,
good job, Brad.
I don't care.
I mean, like whether he cheated on his wife or not, I don't know. I don't think we can make that. I mean, the hurt is more if he cheated. I'll say in terms of the impact to his ex. So I think that's valid. But he's Tom Cruising right now. He's Tom Cruising too hard. When he says things like he's like he's jumping on the couch right now. Do you get what I'm saying? Like he literally said that Olivia and the baby are saving him, and he's less than 6 months out of rehab.
Yeah, that Seth Meyers interview is hard to watch because it feels very much more like a PR stunt, very like you're saying, like it feels more like Oprah and jumping on the couch sort of situation. I have to disclose, I know John, I know John's sister, I know his wife, so I have to.
That must be so difficult. God.
It's actually not. It's actually really, really not.
Okay.
It is.
Yeah, but I just imagine she I mean, I saw some of the work she put out, and it looked. I mean, again, that might not be representative, but it felt very personal.
I think they both knew what they were doing. I think they are both really interesting people. I think it is tough because they. Because I don't want to get into like personal stuff that I know too.
Yeah, no,
but like,
please don't. But if you're saying that it's being viewed in a way that is not representative of what the actual situation is, that would actually make me feel a little bit better. Because like if they both like kind of were already moving in different directions, and maybe there was a natural ending to the relationship that felt like might have been happening, that type of thing or something. I
can't comment on that. What I can say is them as a couple, every time that I've been with them or when I met John, when I first met John, I was like, the John is not the John we know, right? Like John is not.
So he's very different from his.
I mean, he is, but it's just vibrations, right? Like that's the interesting thing about it. And I think John is really smart about like, not marketing, but like he knew how to play into that. Like again, like you think about like playing into like America's sweetheart, the sweet guy, everyone loves him. Like John knew how to play that.
He's disarming really well. And funny in a self-deprecating way.
Exactly. Like,
and he was very, very alluring, very draws you in.
Yeah. And I think there's a reason why people fell in love with him. And there's a reason why people put him on a pedestal. There's a reason why people are heartbroken about this is because they put him in a place of, oh, I know this guy, right?
Parasocial relationships are a bitch.
Exactly. It's the same thing of like when you think about like Will Arnett and I don't
know who Will Arnett is with.
No, his old wife from UCB. Why am I thinking from Parks and Rec? Why am I blanking on her name? Why am I blanking on Parks and Rec?
Blonde, her?
Yes.
I'm blanking on her name too. But Tina Fey and Amy Poehler?
Amy Poehler, yes.
There we go. I was like, if I say one of them, I will say the other one. I know how this works.
Sure.
Everyone's like, oh, Amy Poehler, Will Arnett, they're so perfect. They're such a great couple. Oh my gosh, this is so wonderful. Same thing with Chris Pratt and Anna Faris. Oh my gosh, look at these two. These are so wonderful. But the reality is there is nobody in Hollywood who is who we think they are, right? Like, there's nobody. Like, that's just the reality is we have to kind of understand. It's like the thing that we see is a product. But the people who they are behind that is really, really different. And I think John got his own addiction, all of that. It's great that he's got people around him. But I definitely watched that interview. And I won't say that I'm close to John, but I watched that interview and I said, this is so uncomfortable to watch because it feels like his lawyers and his managers and Seth Meyers, his friend, told him, you're going to come on and you're going to say all of this stuff and try and win the hearts of people back. And it totally backfired on him. So
that's awkward.
Yeah. Awkward.
Yeah. Is that weird then to know what someone is like and know that to see something that is being portrayed as an authentic conversation when in your mind you're like, this is as fake as your stand-up? You know what I mean? Like, or is it like, was there enough of it? Because I think there's kind of a general understanding that when anyone who has like a prolific presence in society when they're in any kind of a high press situation, whether that be like footballers after a game to speeches at an award show. Do you get what I'm saying? Like they turn on and they do that. So it's kind of always the case, right? It's not.
You're not.
It's
on
not
a
really
late
any
night
different, right?
Yeah, like I mean, we can think that late night show is like, oh no, it's really him. It's really him. It's like no, it's a
never
show.
them.
It's never them.
Yeah,
right.
It's
like
a version of them, but there's always a layer of extra.
Well, that's why I don't think about. Generally, I try not to think about the things that people have said, and it's more about what people have done, like or the impact of what they said. So, like, I'm not bothered as much by the fact that he chose to say that, like, oh, she and the baby are saving me, as much like people are like, well, you said before that you didn't want to have kids. And it's like, I don't care about that. I care about the fact that your ex heard that. And like, and I don't know, maybe you feel like the reality is you were in a marriage and then you left and then you were in another relationship within a month. And you were either like, unless everything everything I'm seeing indicates that this was not a thing that was coming, but I know I don't have the full picture on here. I'm just thinking about the potential impact of those types of statements. Like that statement becomes an action, and an action which is committed against your ex. And I just think about I think about her and like what, and I would just be absolutely devastated. So I don't understand I'm almost more irritated that someone in PR or a lawyer would fucking tell him to say that, because holy shit, that is reading the room wrong, very wrong. I hate bad PR more than almost anything. That was the thing that annoyed me. I don't know if it's because I like work in the industry adjacent or whatever, but like the thing that pissed me off about Hillary Clinton in 2016 more than almost anything else was the shitty PR. Like, if you're gonna do this, fucking do it well. And she didn't, and she lost, and she refuses to acknowledge that it is her fault.
Well, I'll say this my dad is a PR professional, and I remember talking with him about lots and lots of PR stuff. I wanted to do a podcast with my dad where we just look at PR mishaps like this.
That'd be fascinating.
The reason why Hillary Clinton and John Mulaney make these mistakes the same way that every person makes a PR mistake is because they don't think they can make a mistake. Everybody who makes a mistake like that thinks that they are winning. They don't realize that they're speaking from a place of we're losing already. Mm-hmm. Hillary Clinton made those mistakes because she thought it would be impossible for her to lose. So that's why she spoke out that way. John Mulaney got on the late night show and was saying those things.
And it's like, I'm too big to fail.
I'm too big to fail. I can get up there and I can charm my way through it. Right? So it's all about ego. And usually, if your ego is not understanding, hey, this is a problem, you shouldn't be getting up in front of people and making a PR statement.
And that's what his people should be doing. Like, is no one talking to him? If I was Olivia Munn, I'd be like, don't say that.
Well, but then think about Olivia Munn. Like that's
they're like, of course she wanted that. Oh, I hate her so much.
Yeah. I think that's the hardest part about this is his wife seems like this. Like they're such an interesting couple to look at from a magazine perspective. If you're just looking at the things they do, because I think that's a really great way of not who they are, what do they do? It's the perfect drama. You're like, oh my gosh, look at how wonderful the wife is being in terms of how gracious she's being. Oh, look at how she's making these interesting sort of Anne Boleyn sort of references. She's making all these really
deep, emotionally evocative photos series that she put out. I mean, I was like, oh my God, I love photography. So like,
but remember, we're talking about famous rich people who have lots and lots of people around them who are going to help them do these things, right? We have to remember it's the same thing with Kanye. Kanye's not a genius. He just happens to have a lot of money and pays people to make him look like a brilliant person, right?
And I thought about as you say that, I think about that and I'm like, I would do the same thing if I were her. Like I'd be, again, very conscious of the PR situation and how I could potentially benefit from it. And if I was an artist, then it's like, oh, people are talking about me and I want to spin this in a way that puts me on. I'm not going to pot shot him because that looks bad.
No.
But I'm going to I can victimize myself in a way or highlight the struggle that I may very legitimately be going through. I'm not here to, I'm not trying to insinuate that I'm doubting anything that she's going through. I have honestly no clue because why would I? But I could see myself, regardless of the emotional devastation, being like strategically like, what can I do? Like, how can I silver lining this? You know,
Sure. Like, this is a situation that's happening. What can I do with it?
So we're
For
here.
my own benefit.
That's
Yeah.
what we
Where
do.
can we go?
However we
We're
got
gonna
here,
do with
this
this.
is where we are. So what are we doing now?
So they're like
It's always a strategy.
from money. I got the impression, or is it just because of his career? Like, is she also like financially very?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, at least she's got that.
I don't know anybody who is a famous actor or comedian who doesn't come from some level of money. I don't know anybody who isn't coming from some level of like, oh,
I always
parents.
make it seem,
Oh yeah,
because they have to.
they have to. But there's nobody that you can point to be like, yep, that person was genuinely a street rat, and now they're Lady Gaga. It's like, nope, that's not what the case is. So
Was Lady Gaga for money?
Yeah.
I thought she was just like. Really?
You don't get into Tisch art school without having some money. You don't get into Juilliard.
I thought she just went to some random. I remember there being like hate pages for her on Facebook. Was that real? Now I'm questioning everything. Was that real?
Nothing is
She
real.
had
Everything is
the most New Jersey name. Like, as her legal name was like, is the most New Jersey-ish name that I had like ever heard at the time.
Hackensack Atlanta trash bag, like that.
Something. It was so like girl who did down the street from, she came from Montclair. Like, I don't know, somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
But now that I say that, I don't know that she's actually from Jersey, but if she is, it is the richest state in the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
People forget that. People want to shit on Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
You forget.
And that's the thing. That's how you know Jersey is rich, is because everyone has terrible taste. Everyone has absolutely terrible taste, and that's how you know how rich it is.
Fucking gross ass
Just
taste. It's
gross
amazing.
taste, and you're just like, oh, these fucking.
I saw a great map that I loved that was like redistricting New Jersey into like what mattered, and it was like the bottom half is like Pennsylvania, and like the other half is like New York, and like the capital is like Jersey City, and I was like, fuck yeah, Jersey City. Where was that?
There it is. There it is.
Jersey City is great. I highly recommend you visit Jersey City if you have not.
Yeah, the only people who are actually from Jersey are from the coast. Those are the only real people who are from Jersey. The rest of them.
Well, and like Jersey Shore people were like most of them from Staten Island. That is not what New Jersey. Like that is not New Jersey. They were just at the Jersey Shore, like because that's where you either go there or you go to Long Island. Like if you're going to the beach. I lived in New York, New Jersey for 10 years. I never went to the beach up there. I don't know. I just don't. It's not beachland as far as I'm concerned.
Sure.
I can't do it.
No.
I don't know.
Do we
what
want
other questions?
Yeah. Another question?
I want another question.
Sure.
This is a two-parter.
Okay.
Do toilets talk? And once we've established that toilets talk, I have a follow-up to do toilets talk.
How rich are you? Because I think about like the Bob's Burgers episode.
Talk? Yes.
Can they? Yes. I think
talk? Depends.
I immediately think about that one episode of Bob's Burgers where Gene gets a smart toilet or something and it like talks to him and it like falls off. It was like being stolen, I think, off a truck. It was a whole plot. And it somehow like ends up in the woods and he uses it all the time and he talks to it and it's like his best friend for a while. My toilets do not talk. I will clarify that. And my friend who has like a fancy bidet set up that also does not speak.
Okay. Yeah, none of my toilets talk, but toilets can talk, and they can even talk directly to your doctors and diagnose all kinds of things based on your shit.
That's an Adult Swim smart pipe ad you're thinking of. That's not real.
That's a real thing. That's a real thing that
someone made smart pipe.
I mean, basically.
Why did they make smart pipe? I hate it.
It's the worst. But
I don't like
you
it.
can definitely get a toilet that can diagnose a variety of things. I have no idea how many things based on what's going through the pipes from the toilet.
I saw smart pipe and I was like, someone's gonna make this. And goddamn it,
some terrible Frankenstein is gonna make this.
Definitely
did. I hate it. Okay, secondary
Here's the follow-up.
Yeah.
Can toilets have wars?
I feel like you have to be able to move.
Yeah.
I feel like without the mobility capability, you do not have the capability for war.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't see toilets having wars. Not yet.
I can see being an instrument of war, like
Instrument of war being
if you
dropped
were
from
mad,
a plane.
you could drop them,
or
right?
strategically clog the enemy's
Yes.
toilets.
Something.
Cause problems.
Or again, like you're a soldier, you're sitting down and the toilet explodes up on you. Right? Plenty of ways in which toilets can be used in war, but can toilets go to war?
If you've seen the film classic Snakes on a Plane,
Snakes on a plane.
Snakes can come up through the toilet.
Yes.
They can
and bite you in your sensitive areas.
Sure. Yes. That is technically a thing that can happen in some places.
Fun fact on that, Snakes on a Plane was the working title, and then Sam Jackson said he would not do the film if they changed it.
Nice.
So that's why it stayed.
That's a brilliant. I love that.
It's so
Yep.
good.
That was not meant to be the final title.
That's great.
He was like, no, it has to be Snakes.
It has to be called
They're
Snakes.
going to make it like Flight 579 or something like that. And he was like, no, fuck you.
Snakes
on
a plane.
Motherfucking plane.
Have you heard the censored versions? Have you watched any of the censored?
I've seen clips of
the Monday to Friday.
Yeah.
Ugh.
So bad, but wonderful.
Why? Why? The whole point is to watch him
right. That's
the
idea of the movie.
I don't get it.
Have to, yeah.
So, okay.
Crazy.
I feel like we've
nailed it.
I would vote no on Toilet
no.
Wars, at least until their AIs become intelligent enough to gain sentience and go to war with us for some reason. I guess.
Oh, I have a thing that I want to talk about. Kellen, because I finished Sweet Home.
Oh,
and it was so good. The show isn't nearly as good. Why are they trying to introduce this government shit? Okay,
so lame, right?
For Lauren and Tyson, our only viewers, Sweet Home is a webtoon comic that you can watch on read on a really annoying website that has a lot of pop-ups.
You can also read it in you get the issues. It was a
physical good. I'm gonna buy it because I want to reread it. It was so good. It was so good. It's like people start turning into monsters, and the monsters are it happens out randomly. No one knows why. I love that. Stop giving you can give a reason, but I don't want it to be like a virus. I don't want it to. It's so dumb. That's so easy. And they're like, people start turning into monsters, and the monsters are based on the desires of that person. And there are signs when you start monsterization has signs. So like it starts with a bloody nose. You start having auditory hallucinations, and then visual hallucinations. And there's like a demon, or some people keep calling it the demon, that it's inside you and it'll be in your brain. And it's like infecting you. And it's basically, you have to succumb to it and say yes to it and tell it what you want for it to turn you into a monster. And most people succumb. There are ways to resist it. And if you can resist it, then you can take advantage of some of the benefits of being a monster. You know, your blade level half monster, half not sort of thing.
Sure.
And so it's about a apartment complex in South Korea, obviously, which is kind of shabby. They set up, and it's kind of like people go there because they're not doing great. Like their lives aren't fantastic. So the people are, it's a mix of people who are kind of down on their luck in various ways, or just, like the older people. Yeah. So like everybody's kind of different, and they are holding up and trying to figure out what's going on. It's just following them. And it focuses on this one main kid who is there because his family passes away in a tragic accident, and he's there by himself, and he also starts turning, but resists it. And so they utilize the strength that he gets from that. And it's a lot about it's a very character driven story, I think. And there is a Netflix adaptation, which is worth watching, but I highly recommend you read it. It is so good. And they made some very key. So this is the kind of thing they made the key changes they made. There's one key change. There are two ones that I hate, and they're kind of linked. So like in the comic, it's like understood that you will eventually change.
Yeah.
Like period. And in the show, it's like, well, if you don't, then you can like, if you withstand enough time, you can become this like half-breed. And at first I didn't really think this was a big deal, but in the comic, there is a very important secondary thing that happens that they are completely ignoring in the show, and I'm very upset about it.
Yep.
Because it's so important. And it gets to the core of like what's happening. They still don't really provide an explanation that's like they kind of do, but it's kind of just like you don't know why now, what's causing this, you know what I mean? Like and actually even in the webtoon, in the webcomic, the thing itself, the demon or whatever, the other side of you that's inside you doesn't know what it is either. No. And it's a fantastic conversation that will happen between the main character and this demon thing in him when he does go into these hallucinatory states. And it's fantastic. And the whole thing with like the prisoners that come, like that was fantastic in the comic. And I feel like they really swept through that in the show. And I am just like, all for a second season. Like you could have just banged it out in one season. It would have been amazing because the ending is so powerful, so powerful. And I feel like they robbed us of that.
Yeah. I tried to tell you to be like this show. You like the show. It's like,
as soon as you said that, I was like, I got to read it now. Like, wait, crap. And I'm so glad I did. And I will say the visualizations in the show are really good. I really like what they do with the actual visualizations of the monsters. They use claymation for a lot of them, and it looks really good. Yeah. It looks really, really good.
It's interesting because Jeff Lemire's art tends to alienate people. A lot of people don't like his drawing style because he writes and he draws, and it's very simplistic.
I like the art.
It's really, really great. Yeah,
it's not like One Punch Man. Like it's not like he can't draw. No. You know what I mean?
He in fact can draw. It is just. It's not the type of stuff that people enjoy. It's very, very different.
Thought it was. I didn't notice anything in particular that I thought was like off about the comic art.
I think people were expecting, especially because Lemire tells these big stories, but his art is so simple, right? Like it's not like he's like a Jim Lee, right? He's not doing giant splash pages. He's like drawing very simple stuff, right? It's not.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of like simplicity in them, but I never felt that it in any way detracted from the experience.
No, it doesn't. But I think a lot of comic book readers want it to be flashy, and Lemire's art is not flashy.
I get dizzy watching. Like I don't like reading action manga. It shit drives me crazy. Like all of them have fighting in them, and they're all so difficult to keep up with. Like at some point, you just start skipping it. You know what I mean? And like. And then, like, I do appreciate that because it hasn't made an anime adaptation; it made a live action adaptation. We got spared the thing happens reaction shots for 2 minutes. You know, we got spared that, so thankfully. But wow, as a concept, I love it. As the way it plays out, I love it. Like that is one of I don't know. I'm just not like I never read something and immediately want to reread it. I don't do that, and I want to buy it and reread. In fact, I'm going to go look for it.
Yeah, you should. I think there's like an omnibus of the whole thing, so you can read it in person, which is really great. So
it's so good.
Brad, I think you would love it if you've never read it before.
Fine, I'll get it. I don't generally read comics. I've been sort of trying to find comics I could get sucked into. But
it's short. Like it's not, I don't know how many volumes it actually is, but it was a quick read. Like I read it in 2 days, and it was not, that was like in the evenings when I had time, you know, like it was not like I binged it for those periods, but it wasn't.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see, especially since Why the Last Man is just now starting on Hulu. Like, Why the Last Man is like one of those stories that I've wanted to see told for years. And I watched
the first episode and I just sat there waiting.
Yeah.
Like, when's it going to happen? When's it going to happen? When's it going to happen? Oh, it's going to happen now. Like I knew once like the one big thing happened, which did that happen in the comic? Did I haven't read it in so long. And I was like, nuh-uh. I don't remember that.
No, that first episode, there's a lot of they add a lot. Yeah, it's interesting.
I love the mom. I will say that I really like her like characterization. She's very like.
Yeah, I mean, Well, the first issue of Why the Last Man is all just Yorick, right? Like we don't know anything that's going on. It's just him. So that's so interesting to watch the first episode and be like, nope, we're going to give you all of this backstory. It almost doesn't work. I wish it was like, nope, we're just going to follow Yorick and the monkey, and that's what's going to be. And then like the second or third episode, then we figure out what the fuck is going on. So.
Oh, but I also don't, because I know because I've already read it, like I knew what was going on. I was just looking to see like which characters were they going to focus on and how were they going to set it up. I feel like I'll just call her CIA lady is new. I don't, she's new,
she's
right?
There.
Like,
yeah, she's in the book.
She's in the book. Okay. I don't remember because it's been literally a decade. Like I lived in Maryland when I first started buying those.
Yeah.
They're great. It is one of those things that actually, when I put myself into it, it upsets me to the point where it's almost hard for me to consume. Because I think about what I like to me, that would be devastating in a way that like I don't know how I would and I think about it, and when I'm presented with it, it's almost like it takes away from the enjoyment of the consumption of the media, because I'm just like, I would hate this. Like in the first episode, there's like a woman with a little boy, like, oh my God, my son. And I'm like, nope.
Yeah.
No.
I'm going with this.
No, please.
Yeah.
No, please.
Yeah, I don't watch media where children are in danger anymore. I can't anymore. It's too hard.
The Witcher, there's like this one scene in The Witcher with what's her name? And she's like running from the and she has and then they show a shot of it, and Rob and I were like, nope,
we're good.
No,
we're good. Yeah.
Not okay.
That's the worst part about being a parent. You suddenly like, kids in danger. I'm like,
that's the one thing that like, I know it's different for everybody, but God, all I'm finding is individual volumes. Is there like a mega compilation of
I'll throw it in the chat for you.
Okay, thank you.
You have to buy it from Jeff Bezos' company. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine. I can't separate myself.
It's always got to be Daddy Bezos. You know, just has to be.
Born in 1964. Was he? Is that real?
I believe that was taken directly from Wikipedia, so I assume.
So who knows?
Real, but, I mean,
because I'm married to somebody who used to work at TLC and would actively fuck with the Wikipedia pages of people who like talent for TLC just to fuck with people he worked with. So like he went to lunch one day and like die hard, like leaned into trying to convince one of his coworkers that Paige Davis, the old host of Trading Spaces, was dead. And they were like, no, they're fucking not. And then they get back and he immediately went to Wikipedia and updated her page to say Paige Davis is totally fucking dead as the first sentence.
Funny.
So that they'd be like, wait, what?
Can't believe people would just go on the internet and tell lies.
Especially on Wikipedia.
Right?
You would think
Wikipedia,
that
IMDb, they're all fully accurate, right, Kellen?
Extremely accurate.
Are you on IMDb by any chance, Kellen? Have you done like stuff?
I've done stuff, but the problem with IMDb is you need an IMDb Pro account to be able to add it. So the only stuff that I think is on there is stuff that I've done with directors who have had IMDb Pro accounts. So I think you can look me up and I think you can see Civil Hoax and Scarlet Pirate there. So sure.
Nice.
Two
That's
silly
awesome.
booms. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. I got one more question for you all from my son. There are some of these that like, am I an ant? No. Can I fly? Not so
Define ant.
Exactly.
Define fly.
Define fly. Here's the question that I love the most. Is sauce awesome?
Depends.
Yes,
on
it's
the sauce.
awesome.
It's very subjective. Right?
Okay.
I thought he was going to be like, is a hot dog a sandwich? And then we could have like a real conversation.
It definitely
like,
is. Is
it?
That was from the first
hot dog
episode.
is 100% a sandwich. Hot dog
Is a taco a sandwich?
Yeah. Yes. If we are defining that a sandwich is some form of something between something else, then a taco is a sandwich. Brad and I had this, like, I think this is like our third week we were talking about. It's either sandwiches or it's like a pierogi, whatever, like whatever we want to call it.
It's a sandwich or a pie or both.
Or a pie. Okay,
A
so
pie.
burrito is what though? A pie?
We would say a burrito is a poorly made pie.
Yeah.
Okay. A badly sealed pie.
A badly sealed pie, yes.
So what's an Uncrustables?
And that would be like a hand pie.
It's a hand pie, yeah.
Is it though? Because it's a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
But
it's sealed all the way around.
It's sealed, yeah.
Okay, so that makes it a pie.
That makes it a pie, yeah.
So parents are giving their kids pie to eat.
Exactly. A pizza is an open-faced sandwich.
And a calzone is a pie.
A calzone is a pie.
Okay, so everything is either a pie or a sandwich.
Just about. It seems like just
throw
about
shit at us.
So I guess then okay, an ice cream bar covered in chocolate.
Covered in chocolate? That's a pie.
Covered in chocolate.
Yeah. So if I take an ice cream, if I take a Dove bar is a pie on a stick.
But like a Klondike bar is a sandwich. Or no.
Klondike bar is a sandwich.
Depends, because they have some that are chocolate
sealed.
Around,
yes.
So.
If we're thinking about an ice cream sandwich is a sandwich, right?
Right.
But a Klondike bar that's sealed is a pie. It's a hand pie. Yes.
It's a hand pie.
Yeah. Interesting. Here's the thing that I can't understand. This is the thing that I still can't figure out because I was trying to figure this out. What is sushi then? Is sushi a sandwich?
Because it's cut, I think it's a sandwich.
It's cut, right?
I would say.
Maybe you had a hand. No, what's a hand roll? A hand roll's open on one side.
Yeah. Because there's sushi burritos, which is, in my opinion, one of the most disgusting things ever.
It's a weird concept.
I have never had a sushi burrito, but I wanted one. It's just poke bowl, but in hand form.
In hand form. Yeah.
My biggest issue is that biting through seaweed the seaweed is really hard because I'm someone who bites sushi. I know I shouldn't, but my mouth is. I'm just not trying to have that much food. A single sushi, it's it's too much. So I try and bite through it, and that includes ikura, where it's wrapped, right, and then it's the salmon roe on top of a bed of rice. And so I try and bite it, and that seaweed wrap is not having it, and it always falls apart. And it fucking pisses me off.
No, you got to eat sushi like you eat
the most first world.
Yeah. It's the whole thing. It's the whole thing in there. That's what it is.
I can't do that. Come on, they're huge.
Well,
I actually found good sushi places here. And
make smaller sushi. If sushi's too big to put it in there, it's too big.
But it's. For you, maybe not. I don't know. I think I have a small mouth or something. I take way smaller, but my husband can do it, no problem. You could probably do it, no problem. Clearly, I'm not going to tell the Japanese people that they're making sushi wrong like
You're
that.
making your sushi too big.
That feels like not the thing. I did have a coworker once who asked that maki rolls be cut more, like if they were cut into 6 pieces, like your standard lunch special, you pick 3 rolls or whatever, and they're always 6 pieces. He would ask that they be cut into 8 pieces because in his mind, he's he knows it's not, but he's it's more sushi, more time because I can spend more time eating it. He wanted 8 pieces and he did that all the time. And so I had to be the one that took the fucking orders and put them into Seamless. And I'm the one having to write this. And I'm I'm sorry, please don't hate me. I'm so sorry.
Is your friend also the sort of person who would say hey, can I get a Coke with no ice so they could get more soda?
He might be. I haven't seen him do that, but I would not put it past him. I feel like he would want a cold soda, though. It would depend on whether or not the cold soda would matter more than it's not a value thing. It's I guess it is he just wants to be eating it for longer. It's not, he knows he's not getting more out of it.
Okay. So okay. Interesting.
Interesting. He likes the mind games of it.
Trying to psychologically trick himself.
Exactly. And he's not wrong. I'm not going to sit here and tell him he's wrong.
Back to the sauce question. Do we have a favorite sauce? Were we pro sauce, anti-sauce?
I'm pro all sauces, but spicy mayo is probably my most uniformly, I use it so much. And honey mustard. Those are the 2
honey
that I
mustard
use
is
the
good.
most.
I generally go straight for gravy. Anything I could put
gravy. Oh yeah, that's a Canada thing. I've never had poutine or anything. I've had various. There was a place in Jersey City that had a lot of different. I don't know what you call them, fry options. They had a lot. It was hot dogs and fries, and those were they had a menu for both, and it was all the different various toppings that you could get for everything. It was fantastic. I will take you there if we ever go there. But
you gotta go.
There's so many great places in Jersey City. Assuming it's still open, I do need to check.
Right.
It's changed a lot, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Jersey City rules.
I gotta go. That's all my questions for my son. I'll be very happy that you answered so many of them.
What's your favorite sauce, Brad? Or are you pro? Oh no, you said gravy.
He's a gravy.
Is there anything else? What about you, Kellen?
I like mustard. I'm a big fan of a grainy mustard. I think mustard on almost anything.
Like a Grey Poupon?
I like grainier than that actually. A Grey Poupon is actually really lovely. I like a Grey Poupon, but I'm talking like the mustard seeds and it like I think that.
Do you eat seeded bread as well?
Oh yeah, the more seeds the better.
What's wrong with you?
I like give me an
Hard.
everything bagel. Give me the most seeded bread possible. Before I got on, I was like, I had a good dinner, but I need a little late night snack. I'm gonna have some granola and a little bit of yogurt. I'm just like the crunchier, like that's.
See, that I can get into. Like I love like a parfait, but I am not. I like granola, but I do not want things in my bread.
Oh yeah, I want bread that is packed with stuff on the
bread
outside.
That is basically
bark.
Yeah.
Yes. The barkier the bread, the better, in my opinion. But I also love a good French loaf or like a sourdough that's got nothing in it. Like I just like bread in general. But I like really.
Bread is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
But
hot take. Bread is good.
Yeah.
Seriously. Shock and awe.
I'm so glad that we're pro bread in this group and not like, I don't really understand bread.
Wait, so what do you put on bread, Brad? Because we don't put butter.
Yeah, we don't put butter on there,
just
right?
Eat it.
No, it needs something. Unless
Why?
it's warm. Warm bread I can get behind. But like it's a vehicle. Are you French? Is that what this is?
I mean, I am.
If he was French, he would love
my last
butter.
name is very French. There's a lot of French.
Yeah, fair. I didn't think about that in the moment.
This is not a French thing. This is a Brad thing. This is a robot thing.
I feel like the French people I've known are like, oh yeah,
it probably doesn't help.
Just straight bread.
The French
all the time.
probably doesn't help.
Bread and butter, man. When all my French friends are like, what am I gonna have for lunch? Like a baguette and some butter, maybe a bottle of wine.
Cheese.
Yeah.
Cheese, man. You gotta put something on it. I don't know. There's so many great things. Like there's like fig jam and goat cheese is like the best combo. Fig jam and any cheese.
Fig jam
you
and
cannot make
a little jam or something.
You cannot make
or like molasses. I'm French.
There you go.
molasses. I have not done that.
But generally not butter. I mean, I don't like mind it if there's buttered bread or whatever, but it's not something that I generally think about.
It's a shame, Brad. It's a real shame.
Confusing and
Daft
weird.
Punk is great.
Daft Punk is fantastic, and I am incredibly sad that they disbanded. I don't understand why they would do that. Maybe just stop making music and then don't disband. And then if you want to come back in 10 years, you can. Like, it's fine.
Right.
You don't have to break my heart in the meantime, you know?
I think that's the problem with bands is they have to it would have made so much more sense. You're totally right about Daft Punk. Like they could have just never put out another album. Like Outkast didn't break up. They just stopped making music.
They just stopped making it. But if they did, you'd be like, great, Outkast.
That's fantastic. It's the same way like I saw this weekend that like the Fugees are gonna get back together and I'm like,
are they really?
yeah. Like I mean, yeah. But like I also saw Lauren at Pitchfork a couple years ago and it was one of the most perverse shows ever. Because she was like directing the band in the show, being like, drums, no, I want you out. Hey, horns, I want more of this. It was like you could tell she wanted a certain sort of song, right? And she would play the hits, right? And she would change it. She was intentionally changing the songs. And the audience started leaving. And my wife, who's huge fan, she's like, oh, I wanted just her to play the music. I'm like, she is playing the music. She's playing the song she wants to play. She doesn't want to play the hits for you. She's playing it for her. So let's enjoy what she wants to do. Let's see what the artist wants to present to us. And let's enjoy it. It was very interesting to see people turn on her and her not give a shit.
That's funny. That feels very on brand for her.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. She was an hour late to the show, and she
Okay,
played.
that sucks.
And she played for 2 hours, which was amazing. So
Okay, that's great though.
it was great. It was fantastic.
Yeah. That's one thing I am a little mournful of as far as New York goes, getting all the like good shows.
Yeah. That's one thing I do like about Chicago. But finally, I've started seeing shows again. I saw St. Vincent when Brad was in town, which was really great. Got to see Angel Olsen as well. Like, it's a nice thing about living in a city is you're like, oh yes, people will come to the city and I will see the art.
Yeah. Because the Prudential Center in New Jersey was like a big venue for like K-pop groups, especially.
Mm-hmm.
They would go there, and it's in Newark. It's like right off the path. Like I can just go right there. It's super easy. So I am bummed but I could always go up if I need to.
Oh, of course, there's always airplanes.
It's harder now that K-pop's more popular.
Oh, what a shame! People like the thing that I like.
Annoying.
Why do people have to like the things that I like?
Seriously, so inconvenient.
Like I want people to like them enough to acknowledge that it's not stupid, but like not so much that you're in my way.
Sure.
The dumbest thing I ever did was I got BTS tickets a while, like it was years ago, when my husband and I were in France because I was on like different servers than other people, so I was able to get tickets. And then I was like, as we were getting closer to the show, I was like, I don't want to deal with this. This is gonna suck. Like, I don't know. I just don't. So I had good tickets, and I was like, I just want to get back. Like, I don't want to deal with this. So I didn't think about it, and I figured out like how much I calculated it out so that I would get back after fees on StubHub. I would get back the amount of money that I paid with fees on Ticketmaster. Do you get what I'm saying? So it was like marked up, but like a little bit.
No.
And they sold within 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Because it was like an automatic, I went to check the listing and they were gone.
Yeah.
Like right after I posted it. So it was one of those like automatic things. I think that just found them. And I was like, I should have marked these up. Whoops.
Gotta make that money.
Did not think about that. I
You're
wasn't
a
really trying to
capitalist.
scalp, but like this wasn't like a person, you know.
You were not scalping. You had every intention of seeing those shows.
I did, and I have not done that since.
Brad, you got a weird video for us?
Of course I do.
I was gonna say,
Always.
I bet we got
Always and forever.
Yes.
All right, let's see here. Share that.
Oh boy.
Think about a joy that is so big you can't even imagine it. Are you at the limits of your mind? Too bad, because you need to get 3 million times happier. That's how good it feels to know the joke of Bart's rude.
By 1995, I had learned almost all the jokes of The Simpsons, but the joke of Bart Simpson remained a beautiful mystery. Then one day, it hit me. It was like getting struck by lightning, and suddenly I understood the joke of Bart Simpson, rude.
Nobody prepares you for the moment you realize the joke of him. Rude. It's just a normal Monday or Thursday or Wednesday or a weekend, or it's a Tuesday or a Friday.
I actually was asleep in my bed when I woke up with an understanding about Bart Simpson deep in my soul. I started shaking all over, and I drew this diagram on a piece of toilet paper I found in the closet. It took me several years to decipher this divine graph. Now I know its meaning, rude, and it is so funny that I am still laughing about it right now, every minute. I am even laughing about it now.
I couldn't keep my mouth from talking about it when I discovered Bart's joke, rude. It's how he's rude. I walked into the middle of the street and shouted, the joke of Bart Simpson, rude, is so clear to me now. Bart Simpson lives in Springfield, and the secret joke of him is that he's rude.
When I whispered the miracle of Bart's joke in the ear of my lover, she wept for 7 years and then stopped. And then I wept for 7 years. It was amazing.
Learning the joke of Bart, it's about rude, completely changed my life. For example, one of my kids is now a drawing just like Funny Bart. I am so rude.
A senator called me and asked me if I could explain to him the joke of Bart Simpson, rude. I told him about the way Bart ignores respect. And the senator said, everyone at the government has heard Bart's joke, and now we're all going to stop fighting and get married.
Now that I know Bart's wonderful joke, rude, it's rude, I feel like a completely different person. I have more confidence and I read much slower. I smile bigger. My fingers are longer. My dog is gone and I am impotent.
My only wish is that my father's ghost
Okay, I
could
do
have been
want
here
longer
to
fingers.
watch me laugh about Bart Simpson and his big joke about
Stubbing
Ruth.
shorthand.
Instead, my dad is still alive, so he just came over and we talked about it for a couple hours. That was also pretty nice.
I guess what I would say to people who have never understood the joke of Bart Simpson, I know it's rude. They need to imagine someone who's being very rude and understand how funny that is. If you can do that, you're pretty close to understanding the joke of him, Bart, and how it works, rude.
When you hear Bart doing his joke of rude, try to laugh at it and enjoy it. This will help you understand that it's good and that you love it.
I showed up 3 years late to my wedding because I was too busy trying to understand the joke of Bart Simpson, rude, and I would do it again in a heartbeat.
Amazing.
There you go.
Brad, so
Joke
good.
of Bart Simpson. Rude.
The joke of Bart Simpson, rude. Oh,
Clickhole is just so good.
God, Clickhole. I was gonna
Makes
say
no
this
goddamn
is
sense, but it's
extremely
so good.
between Clickhole, hardtimes.net, and just Adult Swim as a general. It's just all the content I need from like an ironic standpoint. And Reductress, actually, Reductress.
oh, Reductress is great. Wow,
So fucking funny.
so good.
Oh my god.
Indeed.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Cowabunga, indeed.
I don't know if we can end any better than Cowabunga Man. I feel
Yeah.
like
Right?
that's
it.
the highlight of tonight.
All right. Well, this was fun, as always.
As always, y'all.
It's a good time.
I love joining these. Thank you
Yeah.
for having me.
Of
Any
course, Carolyn.
time.
We love having you here. And we've talked about a lot of fun stuff tonight. We talked about Star Wars. We talked about Spider-Man. We talked about John Mulaney and fame. We talked about sauces, and we talked about
Toilet wars.
toilet wars. Good
A little
stuff.
bit of bashing on my close personal friend Hillary Clinton, but I'll let it go. It's fine.
Thank you, Brad. Thank you for letting it go. We could tell you were getting a little hot under the collar there.
Sure.
You have Justin though. Don't remember. Don't remember.
Don't
forget.
remember. Don't
remember that you have
don't
Justin.
remember who your
Fine.
president is.
He's fine.
Is it president?
President.
I thought he was
Wow.
prime minister.
Wow, Kellen.
Oh, I'm right.
I'm
Okay.
done.
Yay.
This is over.